He said TikTok and I zoned out. I was like, TikTok.
You did so. I mean, started scrolling.
Look, it segues well. We'll do it. It's quick. All right.
Okay,
this is another example of basically executive overreach of Trump just
No,
doing things.
make it more fun. Change it.
Sorry. Don't you hate millennials?
Yes, I do.
On TikTok spreading their socialist propaganda?
Yep, I hate millennials on TikTok.
I want to have control of what they say and think. Okay. I don't want another country to have it. It should be my control as the United States government. That's why we decided to ban TikTok last year in April 2024. So as a reminder, because everybody, nobody talks about it anymore. TikTok is supposed to be banned. Okay,
yeah, wasn't it like a while ago now?
Over a year in April 2024. Remember this?
No, but they said a date, right? They said like, we'll ban by this date.
Yes.
And then the date came and went.
So in last April, both Congress, they actually very unified on this, by the way. The enemy was TikTok. That was the enemy. Again, literally it was like China is taking all of our data and is influencing people. So they like overwhelmingly voted this through House and Senate. Then it goes to Biden's office in April. Biden signs into law. It is a straight up law by Congress and then signed by Biden. And then it goes to the Supreme Court. And in January, they vote, yes, this ban is legitimate. It's not infringing on free speech. This is a real valid thing. And then Trump comes into office and issues an executive order delaying it for 75 days. And his quote is, essentially with TikTok, I have the right to sell it or close it. No, he doesn't at all. So unlike some of the other things.
Doesn't this undo everything we just talked about, though? Because you guys just said, like, all right, no regular judge can stop an executive order, fine. But the Supreme Court can. But now he's overruling the Supreme Court with an executive order?
Yes. The examples that mostly have happened with Trump is he writes an executive order. It's probably not constitutional. And then a federal judge puts a universal injunction on it and stops it. And now that process is going to change where it has to go to the Supreme Court. So first he does a thing, and then Supreme Court or Congress are scrambling to catch up with it. This is the opposite of that. Congress passed a bill. It was signed by Joe Biden, and then it was approved by the Supreme Court. The entire government universally said, this is a law. It needs to be banned. And then he wrote an EO and said, no, I have control over it. This is, of my understanding as a dummy, the most blatant thing that he has done of like, at least
ignoring the process,
ignoring everything. With the birthright citizenship, it's like, okay, obviously that's going to be ruled stupid and unconstitutional, but it does need to actually go through the process. This has gone through the process. So when he first came to office, first day, he's like, we'll deal with this in 75 days. And then April comes around. He says, we'll deal with this in 75 days again. Signs another executive order. And then we talked about this on a Patreon episode a month or two ago. June, this month, came by, signs another executive order. Yeah, we'll deal with it in 75 days. And then this week, he announced he's found a group of very wealthy people interested in buying TikTok's U.S. operations. So he talked about this on Fox News, I guess, and was like, yep, we found some buyers or whatnot. But it's so bizarre because this is one of the most brazen possible thing, and nobody's talking about it or cares. And because it's less impactful, I think, but it's truly bizarre to watch, again, the very executive order based approach that Trump is doing, which in most ways is just not how the government's supposed to work at all. And this is the most clear cut, everything about this is wrong. And TikTok should be banned as of 6 months ago.
I guess it just doesn't have a lot of teeth. From a
people stopped caring.
It's not really in the conversation as much anymore. I think the reality is probably most people don't want TikTok to be banned.
Right.
So they have no reason to really get behind it.
With all this stuff going on,